In this video, you will learn how to give the most common public speeches. These include toasts, wedding speeches, funeral speeches, and presenting something at your workplace. These are important to learn about, as chances are you will have to do one of these at some point in your life. So without further ado, let's get into it. It is likely that if you haven't yourself given a toast at this point in your life, you've witnessed one at a social event. A toast is a speech designed to congratulate, appreciate, or remember. Think about a time when you may have heard someone exclaim, "Let's raise our glass," in honor of someone who may or may not be present at that moment. When preparing a toast, the first goal is always to keep your remarks brief. Toasts are generally given during some festivity such as a wedding or a retirement party, and you don't want your toast to take away from the festivity for too long. Second, the goal of a toast is to focus attention on the person or persons being celebrated and not the speaker. As such, while you are speaking, you need to focus your attention on the people you are toasting, both by physically looking at them and by keeping your message about them. You should also avoid any inside jokes between you and the people being toasted, because toasts are public and should be accessible for everyone who hears them. To conclude a toast, simply say something like, "Please join me in recognizing Joanne for her achievement." While that will verbally signal the conclusion of the toast, some occasions may also call for you to physically raise your glass in the direction of the honoree. This action will invite the audience to join in on the toast. At a wedding, the focus of your speech is at the two people being celebrated. Here are some tips. If you're first to speak, remember to introduce yourself and your relation to the couple. Will your speech follow another? Then acknowledge the introducer who spoke before you. Keep brief note cards to hand to remind you what comes next, so you can relax and the speech flows. Note cards also stop you from burying your head in paper. Your guests want to see and hear you. Practice your speech for the perfect timing. It shouldn't feel too rushed, but for the sake of your guests, it's best not to ramble on for hours. Anecdotes and stories are essential components of a quality speech. Just make sure you string them together with a common theme. Make sure your speech celebrates and includes both newlyweds, and not just the person you are closest to. Road test your jokes. This will help you avoid any overly inappropriate innuendos or references. But equally, don't be too serious. Speeches at weddings and presentations at work are not the same thing. Don't forget to finish with a toast. Say the right thank yous and oversee the giving of gifts where required. A eulogy is a speech given at a funeral or memorial service praising the deceased. This is an opportunity to share your love for the deceased and shed light on what they were like as a person. The following is a eulogy outline that you could use. Start with opening remarks, and this is where you introduce yourself and give your relationship to the deceased. If you're an immediate family member, thank attendees, especially those who have traveled a great distance. If you are not a family member, express your condolences. Talk about what made the deceased special and their hobbies. This is the main focus of your eulogy. Include any personal anecdotes, however, refrain from making jokes, as this may be inappropriate for the occasion. If the deceased was religious, talk about their commitments to faith. Was the deceased a role model? If so, give personal or general examples. Finally, offer words of comfort and perhaps a final farewell in closing. Whether you're speaking at a weekly meeting or pitching a major proposal to your company's executive team, presentations are a common source of stress for employees everywhere. To ease this stress, here are some tips. First, you might feel like you're back in high school practicing your lines for the school play, but rehearsing your presentation beforehand is an important way to prepare. Second, when preparing, think long and hard about the main points you want to make, because you really only get a few. No matter how high stakes or complex the presentation, your audience is only going to take away a few key ideas. Make sure you're clear-eyed about what those important takeaways are, then start framing around them. This adage explains it best. Tell the audience what you're going to tell them, then tell them, and then tell them what you told them. Another tactic is, instead of pointing to larger trends to get your point across, zero in on a specific example that illustrates the trend to better connect with your audience. Also, give up on perfection. It will almost never go as planned. It's okay if you don't know every answer that your peers or even your superiors ask during your talk. Never try to fake it. That backfires every time. Acknowledge that it's a great question, you don't have the answer, and try posing the question back to the group. It can help with audience engagement while giving yourself a short mental break. Finally, the KISS rule applies to any kind of visuals you're using for your presentation. Keep it simple, stupid. Kill the bullets, limit text, and use beautiful images. Less is more. Poorly designed slides are going to be a distraction and you risk losing your audience. Good design is transparent and fosters connection. The slides should help take the audience on a journey while serving and not distracting from your primary purpose. And that is it. Hopefully you are more confident to take on that work speech or that maid of honor speech in the future. Best of luck.